Karibu sana to Githua's Coffee Farm YouTube channel. Today I will be training Agnes, the coffee farmer, on how to prune a 1-year-old coffee plant. Therefore, let's stick here and we shall learn more about pruning. These 1-year-old trees represent our hopes, our hard work, and the future we are building together. As Agnes will be taking us through, we shall get to learn about why we should prune all the secondaries from the 1 year and 2 years coffee plant. So we do these videos so that we can fill the knowledge gap. To many farmers inherit the land full of passion, but without proper guidance, plants suffer and yields remain low. So we want to change that by showing you exactly what works on real Kenyan soil, and we do this to build a strong coffee community. When you watch, learn, share your experiences in the comments sections, and support one another. We become one family. So we do this to share real experiences, not just theory, but the honest lessons or the lessons from daily life on the farm. So we also make some mistakes, and we learn from these mistakes and continue to build on these. So as you can see, here is Agnes demonstrating proper pruning on our 1-year-old coffee plant by removing all secondary branches. This is one of the most important practice for building strong productive trees. So main training, as you get closer to what she is doing, Agnes actively is pruning the coffee, and pruning is one of the most powerful thing we can do for our coffee trees. It is not mere cutting, it is guiding the life of the plant. So as she is doing it, it's good to know that proper pruning builds a strong framework whereby it directs nutrients and also water to the most productive parts, and in so doing it improves airflow and also sunlight penetration to prevent diseases like coffee leaf rust. Also, it reduces overcrowding, makes harvesting easier, produces higher quality cherries, balances yields year after year, and dramatically increases both productivity and the tree's longevity. So a well-pruned tree can deliver consistent heavy harvest for many years. So I believe you can identify secondary branches from this coffee plant. You can see it. Yeah, the secondary branches, they are, and Agnes is coming along to do the pruning as I had demonstrated to her, and a well pruned tree will always give a heavy harvest for many years instead of tiring early and also declining. So the practice is what separates good farmers from truly thriving ones. So Agnes is now working on this healthy 1-year-old plant. So first, we have been able to assess the plant. We look for a strong main vertical stem and well-positioned primary horizontally, or the horizontal branches. So we always start by removing any damaged, weak, or maybe diseased parts with clean slitting cuts or the secateurs just above a node. Now Agnes is carefully removing all the secondary branches. You can see she is identifying them. So why do we remove all secondary branches at this young stage? The tree has a limited root system and energy reserves. Therefore, secondary branches compete aggressively for these nutrients. So not just nutrients, but also sunlight and also water. So by removing these secondaries, as you can see, she is doing it the right way. By removing them completely, we channel every bit of energy into strengthening the main stem and the primary branches. So this builds a solid and robust skeleton that will later support heavy loads of coffee cherries without breaking or exhausting the tree. So as you look, she's doing it right, just identifying and removing that way. Removing the secondaries, as Agnes is doing, it prevents early overcrowding. As you can see from this tree, there are quite a number of secondary branches, and they have caused a lot of overcrowding. And upon removing them, it prevents or reduces diseases risk through better air circulation and sets the foundation for much higher long-term yields. So watch how Agnes makes clean cuts close to the primary branches without damaging it. It's good to take care of the branches, the primary branches, as she is doing it, making sure that you have done it in a way which is excellent. So always use a sharp, clean secateurs, and it's good to disinfect your tools to prevent disease spread. So other important practices on young plants include removing suckers. Maybe as we were walking around, she identified a sucker from the plant. Our farm is a bit hilly, and she has managed to be able to get to the next bench, and she has identified the secondary branches. So the best time for this pruning is after harvesting or maybe during slower growth periods. So now this is the best way to do it, and I can see she is a fast learner. She is doing it the right way. As I had said previously, the pruning that we are doing in this 1-year-old coffee plant is to make sure that we have been able to build a strong framework before heavy production begins in the 3rd and 4th year. So why do we do pruning of the secondary branches? So I'll just repeat it. And one of the reasons for pruning secondary branches is to encourage strong vertical growth. The young coffee plant directs more nutrients to the main stem and primary branches. This one helps it develop a strong structure. That's why we do it. Another reason for pruning secondary branches is to improve root development. At the 1 year and 2 years coffee plant, fewer branches mean that you have less competition for nutrients. So this allows the root system to grow deeper and also stronger. And another reason is to create a well-shaped tree. Removing excess secondary branches really helps establish evenly spaced primary branches that will support the future yields. Also, the next reason to why Agnes is pruning is to reduce pest and disease pressure. So dense young plants retain moisture and have poor air circulation. This one encourages diseases such as the coffee leaf rust and also the coffee berry disease. As she is pruning, you can see the coffee plant has been reduced, or maybe it has improved in terms of light penetration. So that is another reason. It improves light penetration. So sunlight reaches all parts of the plant, whereby it promotes healthy growth and also stronger future bearing wood. So as she is doing it, she is able to prevent also early overbearing. So a young coffee plant that carries too many secondary branches may produce berries, and which is too early to do it, weakening it and also weakening the future productivity. Upon you removing those branches, you'll have also been able to prevent early overbearing. What should be retained when you are doing the pruning? Make sure that you keep a strong main stem, or the desired stem is using maybe a single stem system. We always use a single stem system. So, and another thing that you should retain is healthy and well-spaced primary branches. And the next thing is remove the weak, crowded, crossing diseases, or maybe low secondary branches. And this is what you are supposed to do. And avoid over pruning, which leaves enough foliage for photosynthesis. Therefore, it's very important to make sure that you have done the best of the pruning to ensure that you have a brighter future in your farm. There are some common mistakes when pruning that farmers do, and one is removing too many leaves. Some farmers strip off most leaves, or maybe also the young coffee needs these leaves, so they should not be removed. Don't remove too many leaves. And over pruning also weakens the plant and also slows establishment. A mistake that also the coffee farmers do when they are pruning the 1 to 2 years old coffee is that they allow too many stems, or the so-called suckers. Several stems compete for nutrients and also sunlight, so the plant becomes bushy and also difficult to manage. It's good to retain the desired number of stem. In my case, I use a single stem system. Therefore, it's good to remove the suckers. Another mistake is leaving weak or diseased branches. Weak, broken or diseased branches drain nutrients. They can also harbor pests and diseases. So pruning also is another, maybe pruning too late is another mistake that most farmers do, and is good to also be punctual when you are doing pruning. Waiting until the tree is overcrowded makes pruning more stressful to the plant, and also regular light pruning is better than heavy collective pruning. So another mistake that is done by many farmers is cutting branches too close to the stem. As you can see from Agnes, she's identifying the secondary branches. Here they are quite a number. And what she'll be doing is that she'll be cutting branches a bit far, maybe an inch away from the primary branch. And one of the mistakes that coffee farmers do is cutting branches too close to the stem. So deep cutting can damage the main stem and also create entry points for diseases. And these are the secondary branches that she is about to remove. And I had trained her not to maybe do these mistakes. And another mistake that farmers do is leaving long stubs. So long branches, stubs die back and also may become infected by fungi and other pathogens. So it's good to make clean cuts near the branch's core, and that one will also be able to, you will have done the best of the pruning. So another mistake that farmers do is ignoring branch spacing. Primary branches should be well distributed around the stem. Crowded branches reduce air circulation and also light penetration. So you should always make sure that you have done the so-called primary branches. You have ensured that you have identified all the primary branches and they have been attended well. So pruning during severe drought is another mistake that farmers do. Heavy pruning during dry periods really stresses young plants, and you should prune when there is adequate soil moisture or maybe before the rainy season. So as you can see, Agnes is using a clean tool, that is a clean secateur, and that is another thing that you're supposed to do as a farmer. But the mistake that most farmers do is using dirty pruning tools. Unclean secateurs can really spread diseases from one tree to another. So it's good to disinfect tools regularly. And also is another mistake the farmers do is allowing early fruiting, whereby some farmers keep many secondary branches so that the young coffee produces berries early. So early heavy crop diverts energy from root and also framework development, therefore reducing the future productivity. So the best practices for the first year or maybe first to second year old coffee is good to maintain a strong healthy stem, keep well spaced primary branches, and remove weak diseased crossing and also very low branches. Leave enough foliage for vigorous growth and aim to build a strong framework rather than maximize on the early production. It's my belief that you have learned about pruning with Agnes, the farmer in the Idhua's coffee farm, and it's good to remember that pruning a 1 to 2 year old coffee plant is not about reducing the size of the tree. It's about building a strong foundation for the future production. So a well pruned young coffee plant develops stronger roots, healthier primary branches, better air circulation, and ultimately higher yields in the years ahead. So thank you for watching Idhua's Coffee Farm. If you found this video helpful, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Leave your question and also experiences in the comment section. I always enjoy learning from fellow coffee farmers. Until next time, let's continue growing healthy coffee and improving our farms. God bless you and see you in the next video.